Hello and welcome back to season 2 of the HH Gaming podcast, brought to you by Hellhades.com. Again, joined by the co-host of the show, Safira. And this is the first podcast of 2023. It's been a little while since we've recorded one. Obviously, we've had things going on, but we thought what we'd do moving forward with the podcast is, rather than putting them out weekly where we were before, is these would be recorded as longer podcasts, and they would go out maybe one or two per month. So how this is going to work is, initially, obviously, we have our introduction, and then we lead into a section where we will be having guests on the show, and then followed up afterwards with myself and Safira discussing just the things going on at the moment in Raid and other games and things like that around the world. So what we'll do for now is we'll jump over into the first segment of the podcast, which is a interview or chat with Hellhades, YST, Safira, and myself about some of the updates and things that have been happening in Raid so far this year. So let's jump in and talk about free to play. So how's everyone getting on?
Free to play. Wow. What an experience free to play has been.
Have you killed Ultra Nightmare yet, Paul? I think we're
I haven't
like 40
even
days
considered
in, right?
killing Nightmare right now. Everyone else is like, I'm getting to the point now where I'm actually going to have to start putting some concerted effort into trying to climb Clan Boss, because people are actually getting higher in difficulty than I am.
I feel like you set the bar way too high, because every single one of the videos that Hellhades puts out with the free to play, all I see in the comments is, where's the guy that said that he was going to have Ultra Nightmare down in
Yeah, to be fair though, and I would, and a lot of people are saying I'm trying to get out of this. I always did say I would do it if I could get the right champions, right? If I couldn't get an allied protector, I was pretty clear at the start of saying, if I don't get an allied protector, an unkillable champion, then it is quite difficult to do it in 30 days. My point was, if you put all your focus and energy into it, you could get up to Ultra Nightmare within a reasonable amount of time. That was kind of like what I was trying to suggest. I may have been a little bit hyperbole and
how many people read the small print?
Well, yeah. But if you look at it, Hellhades is what now, he's hitting Nightmare. YST, you're not far away, right? You're just dealing with booking issues and
I'm well above into Nightmare now.
Yeah, but what I meant is, about a week ago you were like, I've got all these great champions, but I just don't have the books to do it, so that's going to take me a while. Which is obviously the other thing that the free to play is kind of, because when I came into doing this free to play, my goal was trying to recalibrate my brain to the common player, because our end game accounts are like, oh, right, I've got a new epic champion. All right, I'll book him, I'll send him, I'll make him 60 instantly, and then I'll just throw him in the best gear it's so easy. And the things I've learned, like ascending is like majorly important. Same with books. Not having a booked champion is like the difference between having a champion or not. It's actually insane.
Well, I mean, I was basically at the point of giving up with this whole challenge up until 2 days ago, because my account, on the stream where we all went on and talked about how unlucky people had been, I think my account was like the second unluckiest next to Simon's, who, let's face it, everyone just said that he was as unlucky as possible. Because he basically, come on, dude, you basically had stream on your side for voting for the unluckiest. I honestly believe my account was in the worst state possible then.
Didn't you already have a Royal Guard and stuff? No.
I did have a Royal Guard, yes, who, let's face it, at this point in the game is useless.
I wouldn't say useless, but not very good.
Yeah,
he's not going to help you push. He's not going to get you through stages, but he will help you kill things like bosses. Like, it's linear.
Well, so you say that, but without gear, he hits less than what Elhain does. So it's
but you also get an AoE decrease speed, practically.
Yeah. But yeah, so outside of Royal Guard, I really had nothing. And then obviously we had the buy one get one free legendary pull, and I pull one shard and get Sigmund and Gaius, which, let's face
it, insane.
It is ridiculous.
Sigmund is low-key insane.
Yeah. He's literally transformed my account. So I focused on, I've taken him up to 6-star now. Again, I'm now battling my way through. Every ounce of energy that I had yesterday went into getting him the potions to actually be able to ascend him.
This is the thing, isn't it? Like, there's all these events going on in game, and you're thinking, I really want to win some of these rewards. I just want masteries on these champions. I want potions there. Like, it's actually really challenging to decide where you're going to put your stuff.
And the worst thing is you'll have like a mission that goes, oh, by the way, you now need to go and do like, I don't know, 5 superior potions in Magic Keep. And you're like, can you stop giving me greater? Or what I found with the greater ones is all I kept getting was superior potions. And I'm like, this is stage 13. Yeah. You should be giving me medium potions here, not the superior ones. I've got enough of those. And then you just like every ounce of energy that you get a refill, and you're like, I haven't got that superior potion. You're just thinking, oh, this is hurting my soul because I could be doing masteries. I could be pushing something else.
I tell you what, though, I'm really enjoying it. Like, I know we're now, 40 odd days in, aren't we?
I didn't realize it was that long, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. I feel like I'm pushing now. I'm pushing Nightmare Clan Boss. I'm pushing towards level 20 dungeons. I've got a team of about 6 stars. And now's when the game opens up.
Yeah.
That's when it's like, right, now I need to actually start to think about gearing my champions. I need to start to think about compositions and that type of stuff, which I think until you get 5 or 6 60s with some masteries going on, the game doesn't open up. And I think I actually feel like Raid could lose so many players because they just don't help people get there quick enough. Yeah, this is the fun part now.
I mean, they nearly lost me. So
yeah, exactly.
I think the fun part is having champions, right? I can totally see how people will spend money, right? Because they basically, you go into the game and you go, I get my starter champion. I might get a bit lucky early on with a few interesting epics, but then you start going, oh, I really wish I had some champions to play with. I've got no options. And that's what we were, right? We were all going, well, I might as well just pull shards because I don't have anything to work on. There's no champion that's worth 60 and all that. And you can totally see with all the offers they throw at you, you're just like, oh, I really just want that. I truly want some champions. And it's actually, to some extent, boring until you get some champions, because you're just either campaign farming for a champion you might get, or you don't have the champions to get through any like progression. Like I was stuck on Griffin 50 for a while until I just got champions up to level 60 that could do some roles. And like I would imagine there's a balance between pulling too many champions, and then not knowing what to do. But like we were in, apart from YST, because we know YST here with his Pythian and his Taragis, like he sits in his own little camp. But apart from YST, we were sitting here going, like, we're pulling shards, just hoping we get like a good epic, because we're not getting anything. As much as like things like you got what was his name, the burnt face guy, I can never remember his name, Scion or something, not Scion. The demon spawn guy you got, Hellhades.
Oh, me.
Like, he's a good champion.
Skimfoss.
He's a good champion, but he's not like Pythian. He's not Taragi.
No. He does a lot of stuff, and that's just the interesting thing for me, right? So you've got two sides to it. One side, it's a bit frustrating. It's like I can't do what I want to do, but the other side, you actually get to play with champions that you wouldn't normally play with. Even like Dan, you're talking about coming in and using Sigmund, right?
Yeah,
and it makes me think, on the website, when we try and rank people, it's so hard to get it right. Yeah, because on Sigmund, we probably got it ranked lower than he should be.
I think he's 3.5 or something like that.
Yeah, so, okay, so 3.5, it's like, it's an okay score. Yeah. It's a good score, but
for my account, he should be 5-star.
He's a 5 right now.
Yeah.
For right now, he's
very difficult.
So difficult.
Yeah. Because the thing is, do we scale them? Do we rate them as like, how would they fit into an end game, late game scenario? Which is kind of like how we try to rate things, right? When you're building a champion, how good is he going to be for most accounts?
It's like in comparison to everyone else, isn't it? It's always like in comparison to the best.
Yeah.
What does he rate as?
But as a progression champion, it's to be honest, it's almost as if we need like a progression rating, right? We need maybe like a rating on a champion.
Yeah,
it
just gets so complex though, doesn't it? I mean, like Lady H was sitting there beside me. She goes, "Oh, I'm going to do masteries on Melga." She goes, "Which one should I pick?" And she talked about, she's like, "There's a standard PvE. There's this, there's this." I was like, "Well, it should be the PvE." And I was like, "Let me see it." And we didn't have a single set of masteries which had War Master on it, right? Now, anyone you use early needs War Master because they're going to be in your clan boss team. Yeah. So I was like, actually, don't use any of those. I'll tell you what to put on. And she was like, "Well, if I'm not sitting next to you, how do I get that right from the website?" Yeah. And I'm like, "Well, you don't, but I can't put on the website every single bit of context. It's like, oh, if this, then this, if this, it's just impossible to do." It's very difficult.
I mean, we had a suggestion the other day, didn't we, about blessings? People like someone suggested like, can you rate how valuable a blessing is on a champion? And it's like, well, in what context? Because if that's the only champion you're using, then a blessing is going to be pretty powerful, right? I mean, it could be that, you know, you're using your apothecary in clan boss, so phantom touch is going to be really valuable because it's going to help you climb higher in clan boss potentially. That phantom touch could be the difference between you 2-keying or 3-keying.
Yeah.
But outside of that context, you might not ever use it, which means the soul is pretty useless, right? So it's like, how far do you go? Do you over contextualize it and then make it so complicated that you lose the point of having a simple rating system?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly that.
Or do you under contextualize it and then it means nothing?
So YST, what's your kind of experience of this first 40 days been like?
It's been a roller coaster, I'd say. I actually had a bit of a meltdown a couple of days ago in one of my videos. Do you know when you're just in that, basically you get that honeymoon phase, right? You're on holiday, you're living life, you've got all of your new champions coming through, and then you start to realize, wait a second, where's the shards gone? You know what I mean? It's like everything starts to drop down a bit. And then I found myself in a phase where I was just doing brutal. Everyone else was hitting nightmare, was starting to do it. And then I was just stuck like for a solid week or so, like, I'm not getting anywhere here. It's like, I've got my champions. I've run out of food. I run out of shards to make the food. And I was just like, oh my God. But then since then, I've actually managed to start speed tuning a little bit, starting to form my teams and looking towards Ultra Nightmare in the next 2 to 3 weeks, I'd say, is kind of where I'm at.
Sweet.
But it's actually rare champions such as Marks that's allowing me to do these things, because like everybody is picking up, like, yes, I pulled a Pythion, amazing champion, right? But as a free-to-play player in early game, the books are limited. I cannot speed tune without the cooldowns. And until I've actually booked up the block debuffs of Pythion, I actually can't do my Ultra Nightmare composition that I'm trying to speed tune, because it's just not affinity friendly. So these are kind of like, it's more of like a time game and being patient, but in a challenger mindset of what we've set upon ourselves here, it's like,
that's hard to do.
Those 2 to 3 weeks is the difference between me being the first to get to Ultra Nightmare or the second or third to get there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Especially when you're looking at Odd One and how he's getting on.
But
I'm not even sure Odd One sleeps, to be honest.
I honestly wouldn't want to be in the position of Odd One right now. Like, it's really, really good, but I think it would overwhelm me. Like, oh my God, I've got all of these legendaries. I'm so limited on books. Which one am I choosing here, sort of thing? Whereas I feel like in my head, I know what I'm trying to focus on, but at the same time, I'm trying to branch off to do some events and stuff like that. But I find myself splashing gems everywhere. Like, I see an event, and I see an epic skill tome, and I get carried away. Like, I just need a few more energy here, and then I've got like 50 gems left.
I know that Lockers actually has fallen into the trap of, I think I can do more than I can do. And it is a book thing, right? So he actually rebuilt his whole clan boss team for a slow Krisk speed tune. Yeah. But he didn't factor in that Krisk is not yet booked.
Which is massive.
And nor was anyone else. And it just doesn't work. It doesn't work yet. So he wasted a ton of his silver. He wasted like a ton of resources. And he's like, I think he tried Ultra Nightmare, he did like 3 million or something, and he's just like, oh, that was meant to do loads.
I feel like we need to have a discussion about silver, because
it's hard. Yeah.
What silver?
Bad
silver doesn't exist.
Yeah. It's I think the thing is, I've been fairly spoiled, like, with obviously my main account for such a long time, that, you know, farming Dragon 20 or higher and just, you know, leaving it on for a couple of hours, coming back and having enough silver to do a full clan boss rebuild. Nowadays, I mean, I couldn't tell you the last time that I saw 1 million silver on my free-to-play account. It is just, and I don't know if it's like just me, but every time I try and roll a piece of gear past level 12, it just eats everything.
Yeah, no, it's like 100%. I feel like it definitely is a big issue. I'm not even sure how Raid can counter this. Like, one addition that players do say is bringing in a silver dungeon of some sort, or just having bonus silver drops from everywhere in the game. Like, in the campaign, it shouldn't be that less, in my opinion, potentially. Or at the very least, like, they do these events where they half everything in the cost, or
it needs to be a
free
monthly
removal
thing.
I think every month there needs to be a phase where players can actually remove gear for free as a start, or something along those lines, because it is very, like, it puts me off.
It's a huge problem, actually.
Like,
it is massive.
Can't play the game.
One thing is actually, like, swapping gear is one thing, right? So if we're let's just say right now I want to rebuild my clan boss team. I know in my head I can't do that, because I need to take up all of the gear from Pythion, and then I need to put all of the gear on again and rank up everything. And I need like 5 to 10 million silver to even consider one gear. Champion. So that's kind of the big task as well. It's just the time game once again.
I mean, the first thing they should start off with, in my opinion, is remove the penalty for campaign sets. There's a reason why a lot of high-end players have a lot of silver because predominantly they just farm Fire Knight, and Fire Knight has all the sets that don't exist in the campaign. Yeah. So if you farm Ice Golem, like 80%, 70% of the sets are campaign sets, and campaign sets have like a 50 to 60% penalty in terms of how much silver you get when you sell them. So if you farm Ice Golem, you can do about 100 runs in Ice Golem, you'll walk away with about 20 million less silver, or however much it would be compared to Fire Knight. So that one change alone would help a lot, because it means that when you farm Dragon, right? Dragon has a number of the campaign sets like Lifesteal, like Speed. They're all selling at a penalty, which is not great to start with. I think then like they should probably just look at introducing, instead of having an event where you halve the silver cost of swapping gear, then have the event on top. Like,
it 200,000. It should at least scale. If they're not going to change it completely, it should at least scale better in the earlier game. Yeah, because I mean, it should just straight up be 50% less than it is to roll and to equip, perhaps before your level, I don't know, 60 or something.
Well, they would argue that star rating does scale, right? Because star rating determines how much the gear swapping is. But I think the star rating is just too high, right? It's like 50,000 silver to swap a 4-star or a 5-star. Like, it's just too much silver. Like, just halve that.
I think a good idea would, for me anyway, I'm not sure what you guys think about this or if Raid would ever implement it, is I feel like there should be a flat fee cost for ranking up artifacts to level 12 or 16. And I don't think it should be an RNG of this amulet can cost you 4 million or it can cost you 1 million. Because I've had times where back to back, I get to 16 and then another player might roll up the same piece and it's costing them 4 million, right? Yeah. And I don't understand in this day and age why there's RNG in gear rolling. Like, if you want to make it expensive to get to 16, like 1 million, fine, right? At least we know what we're getting ourselves into. Like, for me, I find myself in a way where...
And maybe that cost changes depending on the gear set. So if you're doing more like end-game Doom Tower type sets, and then maybe that is 1.5 million instead of 1 million, or maybe it does adapt. But I do like the idea of it. I mean, how many times, right? And I've done this on this free-to-play experience probably 5 or 6 times. I've got a piece to level 15, ran out of silver, went and did a cleanse of stuff I probably wanted to keep, but made myself another 1 million, hit it to 16, didn't get 16, ran out of silver again. Yeah. And then I'm like,
it's just like, what do you do?
What do you do? It's what you go into the clan shop and you look at all that clan gold you've got, and I'll just buy some clan silver gold.
All that clan gold.
I swear to God, I think I've burnt around 400 clan gold on my free to play in buying silver.
You know, when it gets bad, when you're looking in the bazaar and you're like, is this a good investment with this 1,000 gold bars for 50,000 silver?
That's when you know it's going downhill.
Yeah, you're like, should I do?
But it is a problem in the game, and I think realistically, if you want to retain player base, the things you should remove are things that don't necessarily cost you any money, but are hurdles for the players, right? So just not having silver is going to make people want to stop playing the game because they can't do anything. And it's not losing them any money by solving that problem. If anything, it's going to cost them money because you're going to lose the player base.
But see, the thing is, right? Like, it is like, this is the way that I see it. When in the marketplace, 5 times a month, we can get ourselves an ancient shard, right? It costs 200,000 silver. So I don't understand how ranking up one piece from 15 to 16 should cost nearly 10 times the amount of an ancient shard in a mystery pack shop, right? Like, it mind boggles me in a sense of how that can even be a thing. Like, I did it on my main account, and I actually built up a new champion yesterday just to see how much it actually costs, because I've never actually sat and done the maths on it. And it cost me 11.5 million silver to do one champion in gear sets from 12 to 16. So it wasn't like 1 to 16 pieces, but 11 million silver in this early game is impossible. Like, I can never get that.
The worst part as well is, say I did the ×3 Savage event in Fire Knight, and I probably kept I think I did about 850 runs, something like that. And out of that, I've probably kept around about 70 pieces, maybe 60. Sometimes, like, some of those pieces you keep because they're potential Chaos Ore pieces, right? Maybe it's a flat stat 6-star legendary, and you just want to see if it triple rolls. But the silver cost it requires you just to partially level those like 70 pieces to see even if you're going to keep the pieces is about equal to the amount of silver that I actually farmed. So I was actually going into it going, okay, I've built myself up 50 million silver here. I had about 200 items in my inbox because through Hydra and different things, you just pick up too many sets and everything. And by the time I got through like maybe 100 of those pieces, I was like, damn, I'm on like 20 million silver here. Like just not even keeping half of those pieces, rolling them to 12. Does it triple roll, double roll? Are the stats going in the right place? Then selling that piece. So I feel like, you know, some other areas they could remove silver cost, potion mixing. Like there's going to be a quest. I was speaking to, I was DMing Never, and he's going, oh, this mission is all full about potion. I was like, what one are you talking about? And he's got the one where you have to mix 10 superior potions of
that's
every
expensive.
affinity. And he's like,
that's like 1 million, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's
I
like,
think it's 100,000 each.
100k a pop, yeah.
Not only that, you got to go farm the greater potions to do it as well. So you're wasting energy to do it, and then you're wasting the silver. And it's all like a waste. It's not like that's a long-term game because I can just go and farm the superior long-term. So there's those kind of like bottlenecks that they should just look to make the experience in the early game more linear, more smooth, because you do go like to this, as you were saying, super highs. I've got a legendary champion, I've got all this, and then you go down this real low where it's like, I haven't got any books, I don't have any silver, I haven't got any energy, I don't have any masteries, I can't do anything. What do I do? You know, and it's actually, it's good to see it from someone like Lady H's perspective. We've obviously got some bias because we've played the game for so long. This is her first experience of it, and she's and we're sitting there watching her go through exactly the same thing we've been through, where she goes,
I'll be honest though.
What do I do here?
On that note, based on the past week, Lady H is smashing it.
Yeah,
like,
to be fair,
I am so impressed.
I'm shocked.
Like
I am shocked. Not that I thought she couldn't play the game, but
I was going to say, do you not have faith?
She would be as active in the game. She's really played it a lot, like way more than I ever thought she would.
Yeah,
and I think she's somewhere close to enjoying it.
I was about to say, it sounds like she's enjoying
close,
it now. You know? Hades is like
over
the moon.
It's
like,
grade, somewhere close to enjoying the experience.
Yeah, I think like she's not hating the game, which
do you feel like from that perspective, do you think it was the barriers to entry in those first couple of weeks that was stopping her from being able to enjoy it? Maybe now her account's more developed and she understands more about how it works and things like that. That's where the enjoyment comes in. And actually, whether that's something
also like this game's got a massive learning curve, doesn't it? So it's a massive learning curve. You've got so many different things going on. And actually, when we started playing the game compared to now, there's probably another 10 areas in the game that didn't exist when we started playing that now exist, right? So, you know, Faction Wars, Hydra, Sand Devil, Iron Twins, all these things that open up, Tag Team Arena, all these big ticket items that open up that are really overwhelming in the first week of playing. So I think, you know, there was that kind of element of, I just don't know what to do next. Like, what should I do? Which is quite off-putting, I think, for someone coming into a game like this who's new to the game or new to this style of game. But now that she's kind of found her feet as in like, well, I can go and see what events or tournaments I want to get involved in. I know that I need to level more champions. And I can see how much stronger I am when I get a 60. Like, now that she's got to that stage, I think your overall feeling of the game changes because you're like, okay, I kind of know what I'm doing now. You know, which tournament do I want to try and win?
It's almost like they should rework the whole tutorial for the game, because at the moment, everyone hates the tutorial. It's like, you know, click here, click here, click here, go get this set and things like that. Like the starting missions, they're so redundant now. You know, go farm flat stat attack pieces and then equip them to all your champions and things like that.
And don't forget, they've actually done a bit of a rework on some of that early missions and stuff. Like they have tweaked some of the really bad ones, and there still needs obviously to do more.
Yeah, it was mainly Arena they tweaked, wasn't it? Because in response to the backlash about how bad Arena had got, it's mainly Arena they touched. They didn't really touch any of the other kind of like, there was no potion keep adjustments. There was no like, as you say, like go equip flat stats, get sit, like all those still remain. But they did, as you say.
But one you say though, like any game like this, so we play Eternal Evolution, actually try and help the guys out with Incarnate that were developing the game. Any game, it's very difficult to build a tutorial that gives you that overriding knowledge of what you should be doing. When the game's got so many layers of complexity, like, you know, you've got the more basic, I would say, gotcha games. They're way less interesting than Raid. Because Raid, you've actually got a whole bunch of things that you can tweak to improve whatever you're trying to do, whether it's gear, masteries, compositions, all these different things change in Raid. you can't do in other games, right? So difficult, actually. It's so difficult to kind of come up with the right solution to improve it.
I'd say the one thing that Raid does need to do is they need to actually remove misleading quests. I think that's very important. Like the ones where it says go farm attack percent and put it on your boots, your chest, your gloves. Make and they kind of put players in a mindset of you have to have the full sets of these gear sets to be good. Yeah. They're like build up 4 champions with 6 of this piece at rank 12, and players actually end up thinking, oh, I'm not going to choose this piece because it doesn't mix into my set sort of thing as an early game player. Or as Saf was saying before, like the missions where they ask you to ascend like all of these medium potions into a big potion. I think that's very misleading because the medium potions actually hold a lot of value, right? And telling players to literally take 100 out of your equation is actually a big chunk. Like I don't even have 100, let alone thinking about sacrificing 100. So I feel like these little things are a bit misleading. And when we do takeovers and like nowadays, we go into these accounts, we ask them, oh, why have you got attack percent everywhere? Why have you got
They think it's good.
No, they think it's good because Raid has told them it's good from the beginning, and it's just programming in people's minds of this is the ways that's recommended. Even the recommended artifact page on Champions, it says use this set, and it's not right.
I think it's very difficult though, because what you don't want to do is you don't want to play the game for them. There's a balance between a tutorial that plays the game for you and then you knowing what you're doing, right? So if you basically tell them everything they need to do, then you're having the same problem in reverse, because now all they're going to do is go, well, there's no instruction for me to do this. I don't know what to do.
Yeah. Also, let's not put content creators out of work here, right?
Yeah. But what they should do is they should engage with the content creators more to improve the in-game stuff. So where you've got like the rating system, it's cool you've got community rating and everything, but whenever you see like any sort of community voting system, it's normally offset with some sort of independent expert panel, right? Whenever you go, like if you watch the Eurovision, because Eurovision's cool, they always have half the votes are public and half the votes are like industry experts, because if you just leave it up to one aspect, then you've got bias coming into your thing. So that's the problem with the ratings in the game. If you just leave it up to anyone, someone might just go in for fun and just like crowdsource a bunch of bad recommendations. There's no one like independently verifying it. So you almost like want to have both. You want to have what the community suggests and then maybe what some experts suggest, which you could use your content creators for. They do it for free because they would love to engage with the game. I mean, we're gullible like that. And then the starting path, what they need to do is give you a little bit more resources at the start. Like I think you've mentioned this before, Hellhades. Give me chickens, right? We get a barrel. Yeah. That's awesome. That's really cool.
Actually, the feast, though, isn't it? Like you get a barrel, give me a feast. A feast is like, damn, we're going. And actually, don't give me one feast. Give me a feast at the end of week 1. Give me a feast at the end of week maybe 3.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, you get to that point, which we were speaking about earlier, that you're starting to get a roster and you can start to enjoy the game more.
Yeah, that's true. Because like, how many times have we sat and considered sacrificing our epic champions, right? We're putting these champions at the start, and we're like, oh, we just want to get our first 60 or second 60, and we actually look at which is the epic city that we don't really care about. We're looking at jizzos and stuff like that, whereas but these champions are very
hanging in there slightly on my account.
Mine's been so close to being out the door like 4 times. I'm literally like, he's 14 and I just need one more 5-star.
My jizzo's gone.
He's also my only champion for faction wars for that faction.
That's
exactly rid of him?
That's exactly what I was saying, though, because faction wars is a very important element to get those materials for the Forge, right? Yeah. So if players are having that feeling of, I need to sacrifice the champions I pulled, I'm actually guilty of doing on the free-to-play. I've done it multiple times now. Yeah. But I feel like if they just implement those feasts, like you were saying, it kind of takes some of that initial heat off the player. Like they don't feel so inclined to make these bad decisions if they've got that feast available. At least even if it's just 2 or 3.
So I prefer chickens, and the only reason why I would say I prefer chickens is because you educate people. Then you get 2 benefits. Not only do you give people the resources so they can get their 6-star, you're also showing them how chickens can help you upgrade your champions, and you're giving them the experience of this champion goes into this champion goes into that. Like you're educating them as the tutorial. If you just give them a feast, something which they're probably not going to get another one for unless they go and pay for it or win a tournament. They're never going to, you're not really teaching them what a feast, you're showing them a feast, and then you're going to have the problem of, well, I had this feast. How do I get another one?
What about if it was a smaller feast, like a feast that took things to 5-star and you got
Yeah, but then you just give them four. You could just give them like four 4-star chickens.
I guess they do have CVC now, right? Which we didn't have back in the day. Which does
so
have a lot
ways,
of chickens. Yeah. There's a lot of chickens to get from somewhere like that on a 2-week basis. So I feel like that is quite a lot. Like even for us, we're in tier 1, and I feel huge. I can't wait for CVC. It's like
I was shocked, chicken galore.
Actually. It's everywhere.
Yeah. I mean, we got to the point now. Like I'm at 6. I think I'm at 6 level 60s, right? Ready, which in 40 days, it's actually not bad. It's actually not too bad, but it's just that the hump of the first couple, getting the first couple over the line is painful to do, especially when we're doing it with knowledge. People that do it without knowledge is much slower, obviously. The first one probably takes an extra week or two. The next one, therefore, is another couple of weeks late.
Yeah.
By a month in, you're probably like lucky if you've got 2, whereas we know to try and push for more. So
yeah.
Especially when the game's distracting you, right? Because you go, oh, I've unlocked, I don't know, Hydra. Let's go try and do Hydra. Oh, I've unlocked this. Let's go do that. Yeah. Oh, I've got a mission I need to go and do.
And I don't know, it's like, 10 things. Hydra, 100,000. And then the immediate reaction is, oh, I must have crap champions. I must have been unlucky.
And I guess as well as that, it's that knowledge of how much better the game gets once you've got your first 60 and fully mastered. I think you're right. I think if they want people to play the game and actually enjoy it, just give it to them. There's no harm in giving them their first 60
for the free for first.
And give them a full set of masteries. It opens up the game for them. I guarantee they're going to play the game for longer, and they've got probably more chance, of spending money and things like that, because they're starting to open up the game. Getting your second 60 is so much faster than getting your first. Not to mention getting masteries once you've got a team of people who can actually get you through Minnow is ridiculous compared to that first grind. I just feel like there's no harm in it. The game's been out for so long now that having that catch-up mechanic of being able to get a little bit of progress, even the first 2 months of progress given to you would bring a whole lot more people into the player base.
They must be thinking about it because of that A/B test that we had when we started our free-to-plays, right? The free legendary.
With the legendaries, yeah.
And I think that's a great idea. They should look at that more often because, if you pull gold, you have an emotional connection already to your account.
Yes.
Which means if you've got that emotional connection to your account, you're more likely to emotionally spend money. And once you make that first purchase, then the subsequent purchases are all going to be, they know, like, psychologically, the first hurdle you have to overcome is that first purchase. Once you buy once, you just go, well, I've already bought, I've already invested, I might as well keep going. And then you hit that hump where you go, wow, I'm spending way too much money on this game. But they know that's what they're trying to achieve, right? So if you can limit and increase the emotional connection to someone's account early on, that'll stop them quitting. So I think that's actually a great idea. Give people boosted odds to get their first legendary. Do it. It's a great idea.
Yeah, I'm actually interested to know, like, with Lady H as well, Hades, like, does she feel like a connection to her account now? Because I feel like the more you play, it's like you don't want to let go of it. That's how it is with my mini kind of. It's like a baby. She
does. Yeah, I think maybe there's something weird going on there.
It happens though, because like you're putting, like, if you actually break down how many hours you're investing in, like you're in the campaign for hours, you're like ranking them up with 6-star, you're like, well, maybe if I just put a bit more gear on, they'll do a bit better, and then you end up just like, it's your account, you know what I mean? So it's interesting to know.
No, do you think Lady H will secretly start being a content creator so that she can justify paying for packs in the game?
Well, definitely people have been saying, like, oh, you should do your own channel. She's just not up for doing that. But
no,
a lot of people have been kind of mentioning it. Oh yeah, she should get her own channel going. I think actually she's way out of her comfort zone, even doing what she's doing. So fair play. But yeah, don't know about that.
Yeah. So moving on from free to play, something else that I wanted to bring up because everyone's talking about it and Raid keep dropping hints about it. Let's touch on what you guys think about the possibility of live PvP coming into Raid Shadow Legends.
Before we actually talk about it, can we just talk about the stupidity that the biggest potential change to PvP that hasn't been touched in 24 months in this game, they basically announced it by dropping a random notice in Player and Play. Not even in their Discord or socials or told the content creators or anything. I mean, when they did Hydra, they gave creators t-shirts. They just casually put a screenshot of a time bar in an arena going, I wonder what's coming next. It's like, what? Yeah. What kind of marketing is that?
We've been hearing for a long time that this year was going to be the year of PvP.
Oh, the decade of PvP, basically.
Well, last year was going to be the year of PvP, but then obviously IRL,
which everyone understood.
PvP happened, which is understandable.
I'm just baffled by the marketing. Like, if I'm like in charge of game development and I'm bringing live PvP to this game, like that is probably the biggest update that Raid has had
ever.
You could say in 24 months. Right, Doom Tower would be one big one. Hydra is probably going to be another big one because you bring 2 significant content areas to the game. This is probably going to be like the biggest update for Arena that they've ever done, and you announce it in Player and Play.
It is very odd now that you say that. I never thought of it in that sense, but when we actually got it, Hades, right? The hate that we had I had to go and find Hades and other creators.
And that's it, right? You had T-shirts and everything.
Yeah, it was so like such a big thing, right? A big lead up, but then
they did like the social media accounts, like what the heads were being revealed in different. Like it was really cool. Like everyone was guessing. It was engaging, and then the PvP one is like, oh yeah, by the way, here's the time. Yeah, it's clearly what.
But they still haven't officially said anything.
They've still not announced it. No, that's it.
We're working off the fact that we've seen it.
You start to think like, do you think they intentionally put it there and then just had to leave it there because everyone's seen it?
I think there's different departments, and it's not just that part in Plarium Play in the App Store and things like that. We've seen other stuff like they put that thing out on social media with where you could pause on a certain thing, and one of them was about facing Arena in a completely new way.
Yeah. And they also did like a Valentine's thing where they basically said if you could ban a champion.
Yeah.
Which, you know, we're all sitting there going, are they actually telling us that we'll be able to ban champions, or are they just doing like a community thing? So I don't know. It's sorry, my phone.
Yeah, they are posting a lot of random stuff nowadays on socials that I've noticed.
They
like
are.
On Facebook, Twitter, like when I'm actually looking around, I'm like, these are such random questions. Like I've seen some weird ones, and I actually replied to them all on the Instagrams and stuff. It's funny.
Their Twitter manager kind of goes wild, I think, at certain points.
Not always
enjoying
good,
it a bit too much. He's enjoying
it's feeding Jay Giggs with content, so it's all good.
It's probably Jay Giggs. He's
probably Jay Giggs. He's hacked it, right? Agent Jay Giggs behind the scenes.
Yeah.
I guess I go back to your original question though. I mean, it's huge for Raid. If they get it right, it's massive for Raid. And in fact, Dan, we were looking at the Summoners War stuff, weren't we?
Yeah.
That looks like it's actually a really fun system. You still worry about how Krakens interact with
the thing
players, and that's going to be the challenge, I guess. And as long as there's a game mode that everyone can enjoy out of it at the other end, then I think it's a good thing for the game.
And matchmaking has to be important, right?
It's got to be,
what I thought of as like maybe, do you know, similar to how we did faction games with Dead with Jedi? You see how we had like the player limits or the Clan Boss draft? I can't remember which one it was, where we had like the player power limits. I feel like for them to actually make this matchmaking on point, I feel like there needs to be brackets of the live arena that's underneath those thresholds. So if you've got like 400k player power, I know that resistance is one of those big things that boost it up, but there needs to be some sort of balance there, because if I'm going into arena against +4s, fully ascended, blessed, I'm just backing out. There's no point even trying that. You know what I mean? So
I mean, they won't do that. What they need to do is they need to make sure that the people who have all those +4s fight each other.
No, but what I was actually saying
is we don't end up in that bracket, but at the same time we can still play the game mode, right? Which is the problem with Classic Arena at the moment. We can't play the game mode because unless you're in that bracket, the peak ceiling, the best rewards, the best competitive angle, there's no like competitive win feeling unless you spend money. Because sure, I can sit in goal 5, but that's not really competitively winning. That's just sitting in the same bracket that 95% of the player base or 90% of the player base sits in. The feeling of winning is finishing in plat. And unless you've got like the Void Legendaries, or you've got lots of +4s, or you've got crazy gear, or you've got something of that criteria, which normally is going to require a significant money investment, you don't get the sensation of I've won something. You know, we get those weekly rewards of goal 5 and it's like, oh cool, I got 70 gems.
I just don't know how they're gonna, I really don't know how they're gonna matchmake correctly here.
So I think they should do a clash system. That's my feeling.
Okay.
If you've ever played League of Legends, I know Hellhades has done this. Clash basically have a system where you group up with friends and then you enter into like a sort of double elim type bracket system where you basically do best of ones against other teams, and then you work your way through the tournament bracket. And if you win the bracket, you get rewards depending on how far you scale. I think they should do something like that. Instead of having ladder systems, have tournament bracket systems.
That's actually very similar to what Eternal Evolution are doing right now.
Yes.
Interestingly. So they've got this Summit Arena where you kind of start in a group of, say, 8, and you only have to be top 6 to get through your group. And it can have big players in there, smaller players as well. So it's not quite the same as Clash, but basically as a top 6, you would then go through to a smaller group, harder group, go through again, and basically you kind of progress through if you've got a strong enough team to be able to do it.
That's how I would do it. I'd basically have it where it's best of 3s, not best of 1s, to deal with some of the RNG, right? Because I could basically fight the same team twice and win it once and lose it completely the other time. You have best of 3s, and then you will fight that arena against the opponent. If you win, you carry on to your bracket. If you win your bracket, great. And maybe then they can do something if they collect all the winners of the brackets and you go into like a super bracket, and then that has like super rewards or something. But what you would do is you would then matchmake people based on like not just account level, but you'd have to do some sort of algorithm to determine, you know, how strong they actually are of players and make sure you can't manipulate it. That'll be the challenging part. But I think it's better than a ladder system, because the problem with the ladder system, you're always going to have whoever spends the most is the number one. It's just the nature of the beast. Yeah. Whereas at least with a bracket system, you can enter yourself into like a closed shop system where you go, you basically put people in containers that are more appropriate, and they can all gain rewards and have this the emotion of winning without necessarily feeling like the objective of winning is impossible, because that's what a lot of plat is like. You know, we sit there going, unless you're going to spend 20, 30,000 pounds, you might as well forget about winning platinum. You may be able to sneak into platinum. There's no way that you can get like top 50, top 100 without spending that kind of money. It's just impossible.
No, 100%.
Does it make, so all of us have got pretty big accounts on our mains, right? Does it make you feel like you want to get yourself arena ready? Like
I literally booted up my main account and have been playing it flat out for the past like 2 weeks. For that very reason, it has genuinely got me interested in it. So yes,
now that I got Necret,
100% for me.
Now that I have Necret the Great, I'm good.
I'm excited for it. I feel like it'll bring a new life to the game if it's executed correctly. I'm really into that kind of live interaction of games. Like I've not played a lot of mobile games in the past of like live arena and stuff. This is like my first one, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
But I've always been interested in that climbing the ladder rankings. Like Tekken is the prime example, something that I've played a lot, where you like that competitive nature of like wanting to play a live person. And I feel like that's definitely missing in Raid. So, but in terms of like preparation and stuff, like I'm thinking, as we were speaking before as well, Dan, that this has like, if they execute it properly, there's the potential for like live esports in the future if it's done properly. And I think that'll be very, very big for Raid, right? So it's exciting, but I'm not getting my hopes high. That's where I'm at.
Well, the biggest problem that we've got with competitive arena is for basically 2 years, they've been trying to kill the speed meta to be able to create live arena, right? Because if they can't really have live arena, if all that happens is I'm 10 speed faster than you lose. Mm-hmm. So they've been building systems like reaction, stone skin. We've got all these different things, and they've actually now managed to kill the speed meta, right?
Wait, you're not suggesting that they had a plan all along, are you?
Well, I would imagine they were sitting here thinking we have to kill the speed meta because they've been trying to do it for a while.
I think they have though, yeah.
Now they've added so many good go second champions and so many good go second systems that actually, like, you can't just go first and win. So they've kind of defeated the speed meta, which now means that they can run strategic. Because the biggest thing is obviously if you can't just kill someone, you have to think strategically in terms of how long can I survive for? What kind of combinations do I need to use? What's my win condition? How do I react within the moment? Because a lot of people will sit there and think, well, Plat Arena is just like however much money you spend, you win, right? It's not. There's a lot of skill involved in it. You need the champions, you need the gear, but you also have the skill and the knowledge and the decision-making in the moment to go, well, he's going to have that. How much cooldown has that champion got? What kind of skills do I need to use to counteract that? Which champion should I be killing right now? Is it worth me killing it? Do I revive? All these decisions that you don't really realize until you're actually in the fight. So I think they've managed to create the requirements for a live arena. The critical aspect is going to be, do they actually now overcome the issue of the whaling? Because if it's going to be whoever spends the most money wins.
So I put out a video saying, you know, should they bring everyone back to a level playing field? Like almost like if you've got the champion, you're allowed to choose your blessing as if it was max. You're allowed to choose +4, if basically get everyone to the same place. And interestingly, a lot of the comments were pretty conflicted. A lot of people were saying, no, I want to use my account as it is now. Like, I've built that account. I shouldn't have to reset to someone else's level.
I feel like, in a sense, you're right. I'm actually, the way that I see with that is I'm actually with that in a sense, because I feel like we have got the classic arena, which is like a whale fest. If you want to do platinum, it is there to do. But I feel like it's very important with live arena to not push people away from the content and feel like they don't stand a chance here. Like, what's the point, sort of thing. And I feel like for the vast majority of the player base, like, I'm not saying to take everyone's gear away that they work so hard for or anything like that, but I feel like they should be brought down, or the champions, to a flatline level. So then it's actually this champion versus this champion, and it actually becomes more strategic than a whale fest. And I think that would be more enjoyable for me as a player anyway. But I'm not sure how, obviously, as you said, there is a lot of conflicting things out there, but I feel like an even playing field in terms of just the champions, the gear is a different thing. Do what you have to do. But I think that alone is important.
If there's going to be a competitive scene, the competitive element needs to be on skill and knowledge, not on how much money you've spent and how much you've farmed.
100%. I agree. That's actually very important, especially if you want it to be a longevity thing and for it to last. And people, you see that tag team arena, I do it just to do my 10 battles a week to stay in my tier, and then I leave. I truly do wish.
It's ironic because I enjoy tag team arena.
No, but that is good. Like, but the thing is, it is only classic arena 3 times, and many players don't enjoy it, right?
Although plus the rewards don't
rewards really have to tally.
There's nothing in there for me to be like, oh, this week I want to do it. Like, I want to try and win. What are you winning? There's nowhere to go.
Like I've been doing like more dev diary style thinking, and the way that I've been, like, I did a dev diary and blessings and all that kind of stuff, and I have a proposal in essence in terms of how you deal with a lot of the reward structures, because the problem is all of the reward structures always ends up being time gated, right? Classic arena is relevant until you finish a great haul. Tag team arena is relevant until you get so many gold bars you only need to buy what you need. Doom Tower secret rooms are only relevant until you get your champions, and then they always create these time gated pressures for themselves where they go, oh, we need to give something to make this relevant now. Like, they've got a problem with classic arena where unless you can compete in plat, there's no relevancy or purpose to it. Like, I do my 5 a day, and then sometimes I'll just waste the tokens because I've got my great haul completed. What's the point? I'm not pushing platinum at the moment, but I will be soon. I'm not gaining any rewards other than some magic steel, which the Forge Pass has kind of removed the need for. So what they need to do, I think, is make it more, they need to basically make things more universal that they can then offer rewards for. So when I'm doing a classic arena battle, instead of giving me gold medals that I don't need, give me some sort of currency that I can exchange in a marketplace that isn't locked behind tiers, that can give me things like energy, shards. It can give me things like champion fragments for champions I don't own. It could give me things like glyphs, books, because what you can do then is it doesn't matter what happens with that classic arena. There's always going to be a reason to do it. There's always going to be a purpose. If you put rewards in a system, people will do that content. You don't have to force them to do it necessarily, because let's face it, people will do tag team arena now because they know it's good for CVC. They're not doing it because they necessarily enjoy tag team per se, but the rewards are incentivizing them. And I think the biggest problem with a lot of the stuff that they release is the reward incentive, like Iron Twins. The reward incentive is quite low, so people don't do it.
Yeah, I actually really like, I love Iron Twins, and that's like, it's another prime example of, like, not to go off the topic of the live arena, but it's another prime example of, we got a big hurrah, people want the blessings, they know players want it, but there's no originality with it in the ways that you can do it. There is a block damage strategy, which needs a Geomancer, by the way, or a max HP champion. And then there's another strategy, which is just Geomancer and a Mithrala sort of thing. And I really wish that there was like some other mechanics around it so we can theory craft teams. But the brute reality is there is only one way to speed farm it, and that is with the Geomancer, because of the way that you hit the thresholds and then he goes back and he strips it all off, and you're there for like 5 to 10 minutes, and you're like, what's the point in building a resist team?
The problem is the solutions to do it fast are spending.
Yeah.
Right. So what they're trying to do by putting these really high stat ratios and high different things is they're trying to stop people from just auto clearing it on release. And you can even see like Sand Devil, we were sitting there talking about it when it was on when it was after it'd been released on the test server and stuff. And we were going, oh, this feels overtuned. It feels really difficult. I can't see how anyone's going to fast speed farm it. 1 hour later, someone's got like a 1 minute farm because they've got enough money. They've got double Acrisias. They've got all the big void legendaries. So it's kind of like, how do you create content that doesn't just get cleared in 1 minute? Well, you can't have HP burn because HP burn is too strong. You have to limit the poisons because you've got Theodore. You know, they've created their own problems here with that.
Do you know what it is? I don't think that's not really where my issue stands, if I'm honest. I think there's a difference between speed farming, normal farming, and then like long farming, right? I feel like with stuff like the Sand Devils and the Iron Twins Fortress, there's no middle ground. Like, do you know, for us, if we're facing Dragon in our free-to-plays, there's a speed farming method, poison explosion, seer comps, and then there's that kind of, you can get through it with like maybe a Lydia, some brute force, and some revivers, and it's still a decent time, right? It's like 2 minutes or so. I feel like with Sand Devils and stuff, it's rather, is that far ahead, or you're very quick, and there's not really like a middle ground.
Yeah,
that's where my issue is.
Well, it is considered end game, isn't it? Yeah. You always got to put yourself in their shoes. Like Hydra, for example, everyone was complaining about how long it takes and everything, but like you listen to them, like that was design intent. They wanted it to be
different. There's a difference in stuff. Like Hydra's like a once a week big clan boss. Yeah.
So, this is farming.
Whereas this is something you have to farm multiple times a day.
Yeah.
And I think YST is right. There needs to be.
You've got to put it in your head. They're sitting there going, it's end game content. To them, end game is probably people with Acrisias and Sifis. And if you've got those champions, you can do level 25 in 1 minute 30. So that's kind of like where I'm putting my head. Is like that's where they're putting.
The thing is, I'm end game. I don't have Acrisia, right? But I've got a ninja. But you can't get a ninja anymore. Walking Tomb Dreng was a previous fusion, who's the other champion that pairs with Godseeker for the duo strategy. But I really like, I love Raid.
Chrono can solo it, but
yeah, but you know, the creative mindset of being able to, like, that's why I love the Doom Tower, because you can build up different Eternal Dragon teams, you can bring a Griffin, and it's so versatile. You can bring in these hundreds of champions that they put in the game to take them down. But I feel like with these new dungeons, they're just missing the mark. And it worries me.
Doom Tower is the best content.
I love it.
They've dropped since I've played the game. It's so good.
100%.
I think
so the rewards are good. The bosses are good. It's original. The waves aren't overtuned, I don't think. I think hard is relatively balanced, but still difficult. And even though that I've done it every single rotation, I still enjoy doing it every day. It's my, apart from the clan boss, Doom Tower is my next best thing. And it's free to do, right? In terms of keys.
Yeah, I'm not defending them on the Sand Devil. I'm just putting my head in their game design perspective. The problem they've done is they've released so many powerful champions recently. They've kind of created a problem in terms of, well, you know, if I've got Acrisia, Hydra is now 200 million.
Yeah, it's
true. So it's like you kind of like, and because that means when you then develop content, you have to design and develop content in, well, we got to protect against this problem and this problem and this problem, because otherwise I can just put 10 of these champions in and win the game, which is the problem with normal dungeons to some extent. You can just put Theodores in. You know, when we were doing the stats of the dungeons, it was Theodore, Calphalax, Theodore, Acrisia, Theodore. And I'm like, oh, for the love of, like, someone nerf this champion because he's everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, so it's kind of like, how do you balance? And this will be the issue with Arena as well. Matchmaking is they'll have to know going into it that Warlord is still extremely strong, Necra is still extremely strong, and now they've added Taras, Marichka, they've added Harima, 3 really, really strong champions. Baron got reworked in the last 6 months.
Yeah,
but there is an option.
Really changed it.
Just ban them.
There is, but how many bans are you going to have? And what would be good is if we can ban them based on our knowledge of the other player, right? If we see it and we know the other player's got a really insane Warlord, then I can ban them because I know that their Warlord's good. That's where it's going to get really fun if that system can exist.
If you actually go back to your point with Clash, League of Legends, there's almost like a 1 minute, well, it's actually 5 minute, but let's call it a 1 minute preparation round where you're actually looking at previous comps that player run.
Yeah.
So you can actually look at it and think to yourself, you know what? He always uses Necra to protect his nuke or whatever. So actually that's the champion that I'll ban. Or might be like, actually 3 times ago he had massive success.
Or you really go
using Rotus or whatever, you know. So
like if you've ever watched competitive League of Legends, they have a specific strategic drafting system, right? So it basically goes, there's 5 people on each team. They'll have to start with 3 bans each. And they'll go like team 1 bans 1, team 2 bans 2, 3, 1, 2. Team 2 then bans 2, 3. So you can actually make strategic decisions about banning and picking, right? So it could be that the first phase, the team has picked, like in League of Legends, they might pick their top lane, their AD carry, and their mid. So the last 2 bans that you get, then you can go, well, I haven't picked their support yet, so I'm going to pinch the support pool and pick the supports and ban them that I know are very good with that AD carry. So you could have a full drafting system in Plarium where they go, okay, he's picked his Necret the Great. All right, I'm going to ban his Baron because I know his Baron's really good. Or it could be they pick Baron and I'm going to ban the Necret because it means now I can kill Baron, right? Or maybe they've picked Arbiter, so that means they're going to try and go for a speed team. So I'm going to pick their champion that's got like a 6-star awakened blessing with the aura, right? Because he's trying to pick his speed team. So that's where it gets fun then, because actually I can control and force players into thinking strategically about how they draft and build their teams. You know, there are specific set teams in Arena. You have your speed teams, you go seconds, your stall teams, your blender teams, your anti-blender teams, your healing teams, your counterattack teams, right? There's lots of different team compositions you can build. It isn't just now speed team and win. But if you can actually try and interrupt the process of making that team, then it will force players not to just have, here's my 4 best champions are all +4 with all 6-star awakened. It'll now be, oh, it's cool that I got a 6-star awakened Baron, but the team I want to put him in can't work because the enemy just banned one of my core champions that requires to make it work.
So in Summoner's War, how it works is initially both players get to pick one champion to ban. Then each player picks 5 champions, one at a time. You cannot pick the same champion to go on each team. And then at the end of that, when you've got both players have got 5 champions on each team, you can then pick one from their team to ban so that you end up with 4 each.
That's exactly it. It's a drafting system there.
Yeah, and I think it would be very, very cool to... Because the thing is as well, not only have you got the banning system, you can actually counter something that you think the team that they're trying to build by picking that intentionally yourself.
That would be so good. Like, so basically no one can have the same champions when you're facing.
Yes.
Yeah. Because if you think, right, if they pick an ally attacker, you then go, okay, well, I'll just pick my Vogoth.
Yeah.
Because he pretty much was, because like if they pick an ally attacker, you're probably thinking they're going to try and blend me, right? As a concept. It's not it's not likely to happen because we know that's out of the meta, but it could be very much like, oh, he's picked Longbeard. Okay, well, that means he's probably going to try and do an ally attack. Well, if I bring a Vogoth, that defeats the blender. And then the enemy goes, oh, damn, I can't do blender anymore. What's my pivot? And that then becomes more of a skill game.
It would be so fun, man. I think there's so much potential for it. I really hope they do it properly. Man.
The only good thing is well. If they copy the summon, and to be fair, they've copied a bunch of summoners in the past, right?
Yeah, they have,
or at least used it as a model.
That's a little bit of a blessing, right? Because they've copied before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's hope they do it well. Let's hope they actually let us. Well, I know this won't happen. I don't know why I'm saying it, but what if we could play test it and actually give them some feedback before it went live?
Oh, that would be amazing.
Well, you two may be able to. They're not going to let Saf in there.
I'm not allowed.
We'll do feedback, and they'll be like, "Yeah, actually, we're just showing you the product. It's not."
Yeah. This was a showcase, not a feedback session.
Yeah. If you could just market it for us, we don't want feedback.
Yeah,
but I would say, like, the year of PvP was meant, like, I'm thinking we're going to get this update very soon, because they did say right at the start of the year, Q1, by the end of Q1, we would have the first, not necessarily all of it, but the first chunk of PvP changes. And so far, we've had no PvP changes, really.
Considering it's showing in the App Store, right?
Yeah.
Or on Player in Play, so considering it's showing there,
it must be somewhere near.
It must be really close. I'm surprised we haven't had a what's next in Raid video.
I think we'll get it soon, though.
I think this week, next week, we're going to get a what's next in Raid, and it's going to be next month. Honestly, I
think it'll be even less than that. I think they're going to drop it within 2 weeks. I would not. I'll probably be a bit ambitious here, but I would not be surprised if the next patch contains Live Arena.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. I actually agree with that. I think it probably does.
I mean, if we look at how long it took them to release
Hydra,
the
next patch, so
Hydra, they basically gave you the t-shirts, and within 2 weeks it was out. Empowerment, same thing. Sand Devil, what's next video? A week later, it's out. Yeah. They don't really hang. There's not really like a lot of pre.
Do you not feel like this is the one thing where makes me think it might be a little bit longer than we're thinking here? Is we've had the Sand Devils for the artifact ascensions, but we haven't had the accessory ascensions yet. And for the year of PvP, I'm not sure if they want to release that dungeon first before the actual live arena, or put it in the same patch.
They might just put it in the same patch.
Yeah, that's the only thing. I do feel like
actually, it's a good point, because I don't think you don't put those things in the same patch if you
no.
Yeah, so I honestly feel like,
to be fair,
the dungeon, they might think of putting, because obviously it's arena, right? They want it to be this big hurrah, and if there's one key component left sitting there in the dungeons, they might just put that one first before.
I feel like they may package the accessory dungeon with the new faction wars and put that out as a patch together. I may be wrong.
I just go back to the end of last year where we had empowerment, faction guardians, life tokens, and Hydra within 2 weeks together. But all in one
empowerment,
bunch.
faction guardians, and life tokens.
They were all tied together.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is we had two major system changes, like a brand new dungeon and empowerment systems and everything that came with it in one kind of patch window. Now they might not necessarily release them in one like maintenance window, but they might do what they've been doing recently with fusions, right? Where the patch comes in and then a week later we get a bunch of new champions with the fusion. They might basically do it within a month. Yeah, I can't imagine they might. I mean, they might not even put the accessory dungeon until after live PvP. Like, I know for a fact the accessory dungeon is like they've got like the stuff within the static data ready to put it in. They just haven't put any of the information. Like, there's no boss information or stage information or anything like that. They've put all the things like what you're going to get out of the accessory ascensions.
Yeah,
like we already know what's going to be there. It's in the static data already. They just haven't turned it on.
I think it's safe to say that the what's next in Raid video is going to consist of accessory dungeons, new faction wars, live PvP, and some new champions. I think that is what the video will be. And I think you guys are right. I think within the next couple of weeks we're going to see this.
100%. Yeah. The second I seen it in Plarium Play, I was like, this is coming ASAP. Like it's the next feed. There's no reason to put it in Plarium Play if it's not coming up next, in my opinion.
Absolutely not. Yeah. Right, let's end the podcast there because we've been talking for quite a long time and I know you guys are very busy. But thank you so much for joining us, and it's plenty of food for thought. We'll see in the next 2 weeks or so whether we were right or not on our predictions with this. But guys, if you're still watching, do stay tuned because we've got another section of the podcast coming up shortly. But YST and Hellhades, thank you for joining us today, and no doubt we'll see you on the podcast very soon.
See you later.
Yeah.
Welcome back to part 2 of the podcast. That was a really cool conversation to have with Hellhades and YST, talking about the free-to-play series experience and how we've gone through it. This section now, we're going to go through some of like the latest news that's going on in Raid right now. It's been kind of a busy quarter, really, since we last did a podcast. We've had so many changes, so many additions. We've had new dungeons, we've had blessings reworks, we've got hard dungeons coming that they just announced. So we're going to kind of do like quick hits. We're going to go through different things and we're going to talk about the different topics. So I mean, Fix, I don't know where to start. Should we start with
a lot? There has been
the new dungeons.
Yeah.
I mean, we haven't really done a podcast since I think the Sand Devils come out. So
true.
Got Artifact Ascension in the game now, which is added a new layer of RNG to our daily things. How much of the dungeon is that something you do on a regular basis, or are you just ignoring it?
I think one of the biggest things is obviously since we last recorded the podcast, we started the free-to-play series, and based on the amount of time that I have available in my day, I made the decision that I would put my main account on hold during the free-to-play series.
Sensible.
Yeah, so essentially to start off with, I was trying to do it as often as possible. But the main account's kind of gone on hold, and the free-to-play is just not in a place where it can do it right now. And I think a lot of people, at least from the stuff that I'm seeing in the community, it was a lot of hype to start off with, and then it very quickly died off in terms of people doing Sand Devil, which is a shame because I think the concept of the dungeon and things like that is good, but the rewards, I think so many people are still trying to grind good gear in the game to have something that then, it's almost getting masteries for that gear, in addition to the fact that you're still trying to find gear that's actually worth having, I guess. It's a very late game concept, I guess, and unfortunately, I think it just didn't quite hit the home run that Plarium was hoping for with it.
I mean, I quite like I think the boss design's really good, right? It's quite a clever, unique skill set. Like, we needed to bring out champions like Riho and different things, and obviously I think like probably the higher end is a little bit overtuned, but there's ways to do it. If you have a Chronum, if you have a Jamasa, if you have a Ninja, if you have a walking Tomb Dragon stuff, it may be slower than the Kraken builds, but you can still get through it. And it's nice that we can farm stage 7 for a lot of the system is quite good at the start. I mean, I think eventually we're going to get chaos ore for like the ascension, so you can re-roll the ascension stat. I would imagine that's going to happen in the future. But I'm a bit concerned about the fact that we have to have a different dungeon for accessories, and then we have to farm another currency. That's a bit lame, to be honest.
Yeah, and it just adds on to that like daily energy requirement.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen a lot of people complain about the daily energy for, they're like, I've seen Reddit posts basically, we've added Iron Twins and we've added Sand Devil, but we haven't increased the daily energy cap. And I get it a little bit, but at the same time, you got to look at it from what the purpose is. The only thing that's really additional energy that's probably a bit egregious is Iron Twins, really, because the idea is Sand Devil is meant to be not an addition, but a replacement. It's kind of, they're basically saying once you farmed your gear, you're not farming dungeons. The energy you would have farmed in the dungeon goes into Sand Devil until you get the oil. So it kind of makes sense. I can see the logic. And I'll be honest, I've barely farmed it. I do maybe a couple of stage 7s every now and then to get the quest done. And if I want a specific piece grinded up, then obviously I will put a bit of energy into it. But I don't think I've put like maybe 1,000 energy into that dungeon. So, and it's not something you do on a daily basis. It's not tied to any fusion events, right? Same thing with Iron Twins. It's not tied to anything that you need to do. So I think the argument a little bit in terms of, well, you've added all these new things that require energy, why haven't I got more energy, is a little bit misplaced in the sense that there are things that cost you more energy, but they're not things that are direct additions. They're more like enhancements or another level.
Yeah.
So
that makes sense.
But, I mean, it's going to change as well now with the hard dungeons coming up, right? We've got...
Well, that's what I was going to say, because I mean...
coming.
We had the What's Next in Raid video come out this week, which, I mean...
On a Saturday.
Yeah, and...
Because...
I mean, what a video. The one thing that I do want to say is, and I don't know whether it's coming from a place where the community is just generally a little bit toxic at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like there is so much potential from what they're announcing that people are just like, oh, it's a whale fest, it's a Kraken War and things like that. And it's just like, well, what can Polarium do and what can they put out which is actually going to make people happy?
Yeah.
Because I mean, hard mode dungeons, that's incredible. The mythic gear sets of all of these gear sets that are being released. In addition to that, we've got live PvP, which it opens up the doors for so many possibilities in the community. And what I think people are jumping on is the fact that from day one they're not releasing live PvP with the ability to fight your friends and things like that. But this is a stepping stone. It's the step in the right direction to open up those possibilities. And if you look at other games that have done this, games like Summoner's War, which, Raid do model most of their stuff on, Summoner's War, initially, it came out in a structure like this. Then what they did is they moved into the ability to create tournaments, fight between your friends, fight between your clans. And then that opened up the doors for live events, live tournaments, and things like that. And I honestly feel that that's the route that Raid's going with this.
Yeah. I mean, I can... So with Live Arena specifically, just as we were talking about that, there is risks to it. It's got to be, the matchmaking has got to be done correctly. The reward structure needs to be in place that makes it as an incentivized thing to do it. Like, my biggest concern right now with Live Arena is not Live Arena itself. It's the fact that we're not going to look at Classic Arena as anything, right? It's just going to be, oh, well, you've done your Great Hall. You need to make a new Great Hall. We haven't fixed the Great Hall. We've just replaced it with a different one or added on top. That's my number one concern right now is, well, two main concerns. Number one concern is what happens to Classic Arena? Do we even pay attention to it? What happens to the Great Hall? The second one then is this concept that in order for you to get gold medal upgrades for your area bonuses for the second Great Hall that they've built, you have to be in gold Live Arena. I really just don't like kind of like milestone gating. I feel like you just scale it based on the quantity of medals you earn rather than the quality of the medal. I just feel like that's, even if you make it so that at bronze one you get 1 gold medal or something, if you really, really are like destined to have that. But I just feel like by making it, you reintroduce the same problem that Tag Team Arena has got, where all the good rewards are in the gold bracket. Unless I'm in gold Tag Team Arena, which is a player limited pool, I can't get the Sacred Shard or the better accessory. So those are my only two concerns. But I think the drafting and ban phase specifically is very good.
Yeah.
And I think the mood right now in the game is very difficult, especially for a creator, right? We get slaughtered with, why aren't you complaining about this? Why aren't you making this about? Why aren't you like? If I listen to every complaint right now, all this channel would be is like, Player are doing a terrible job. Yeah, because that just seems to be the mood and sentiment right now in the community. And I think people need to take the problems, because there are problems. We're not saying that there aren't problems, and the way that the way that Player are approaching things in terms of their communication strategy is not good. Basically, putting Twitter posts out going, oh, well, at 6-star awakening, you don't need accuracy. I'm like, that's just so short-sighted. That's antagonistic in terms of a tone.
Yeah.
You don't need to do that, right? If you want to force people to get 6-star blessings, fine. Well, like putting raid digests out going, oh, well, Taras and Marichka strong, but then, we're not going to nerf them. I'm like, yeah, but if you're not going to nerf them, just don't say anything, because you're not helping. You're being antagonistic. So I think that's a bit of a problem. Players are feeling like they're not being heard, which is always a dangerous step to take in any sort of game, where you want a balance between listening to players, but obviously you can't always do what every player wants because of game direction and stuff like that.
And as well as that, players may want an easy ride, but actually,
absolutely,
we've seen countless other games that approach their sort of game development with that mentality, and they don't last, because you get things too easy and you get bored.
Yeah, it always reminds me of that sort of stage talk that the Blizzard devs gave when everyone was asking, like they were like praying for classic WoW. They were sitting there, they were going, we want the OG WoW, and then he came up and he was like, you guys realize that OG WoW didn't have like mounts and dungeon finder and quick travel and all these different things that you probably are going to go, wow, this game is terrible.
It's the rose-tinted glasses effect.
Exactly. I mean, I remember playing a football game when I was like 10, 15. It was like one of the best games I've ever played. And then when I got to 20, I found a copy of the game. I was like, I'm going to play this again. Like, it's so good. And I played it. I was like, this game is a pile of trash.
Yeah.
Because naturally you develop like the game, like development cycle, the quality of games, the games change and evolve over time, otherwise they die. And I think that's an important factor. Like if Playroom did every single thing that players wanted, they wouldn't make any money.
Yeah.
Because players will want every champion to be on like the times 50. Now there's a balance. I think, like, for example, times 10 is probably not enough. Now you've almost doubled the champion pool. So there's ways to approach it, ways to communicate with them. I think the main source of negativity right now is Playroom have stopped listening to even like the reasoned arguments, and they're just like, we don't care, just do what we want. And I think that attitude and that tone is very antagonistic. But you're right, the what's next video, like, there's two ways you can look at hard mode dungeon. You can make it go, oh look, it's going to take me more time and it's going to be harder and I'm not going to be able to get that. That's one way to look at it. Yeah. The other way to look at it is, well, it's the same energy cost. You're going to get more legendary odds just naturally, because the hard, they're not going to give you the same legendary odds. Now, I have seen some of the static data that's in the live game, some of the odds. I haven't released them because I don't know whether they're final, because a lot of the information in there seems to be very fragmented. But on the balance of it, I would say right now, looking at the odds table, Mythic is a little bit low, a little bit. But at stage 10 hard, you're basically getting around about 25% more six-star legendary chance compared to stage 25.
Yeah.
So the way to look at it is, if you're farming stage 25, then all stage 10 hard is going to do is going to cost you the same amount of energy, but you're going to get better chances of gear. With the odds of getting mythical.
Do you know? Well, I was going to say that. Do you know how I'm seeing it? As somebody who's played for a few years now.
Yeah.
My account is end game-ish, okay? But the reason that it's not real end game is that my gear is substantially behind people who have farmed gear and gone crazy and spent loads of money and things like that. I've got the champions, I don't have the gear. But actually, this new sort of level of gear that's going to become available to everyone all at the same time puts people back on an even playing field with the real late game players.
I think it could do, yeah.
And especially with things, obviously, you know, if you've already got crazy gear champions and things like that, you're going to have the advantage of getting through the stages quicker, and being able to then farm gear and things like that. But at least you have that equal opportunity that anybody else does at that starting point, that we can go get speed mythical gear. We can go get, you know, all of these sets in mythical gear. And it kind of brings the playing field from, you know, people who are years ahead of other people back down to, you know, maybe a few months ahead.
Well, I do feel like the Artifact Ascension and these new hard mode dungeons is basically Playroom telegraphing that they've seen in their analytics that people have stopped running dungeons, right? I know for a fact that most high-end like sort of platinum arena players, they don't get their speed from the dungeons, they get it from buying those divine speed packs.
Yeah.
Now, if I was being cynical, that I would say we're probably going to get mythical gear packs being sold.
It will happen. It
will happen. So you could have Krakens go, I'm still not going to farm the dungeons. I'd rather just do that. But generally, Krakens will farm what they can get available best to them, right? They probably will go back into those dungeons. And I do think that they've tried in the last couple of months to force players back into farming gear. You know, the RNG aspect of Artifact Ascension means that a really, really good piece is now not best in slots. You might need to go refarm it. Mythical gear is going to get you to refarm it. But I think the more important thing is the fact that we haven't just got stage 26 to 30, right? It's not the same boss. The mechanics for it, especially for like Fire Knight and Ice Golem, the champions that we were using are not going to be the champions we're going to use in stage 10 hard. It's a completely different strategy. You know, turn meter immunity, poisons immunity, different things like that. It's going to change, you know, it's going to bring champions back in or into a top tier meta that were probably not even consideration for mid tier even. So I like the fact we've actually got different mechanics, although I think Dragon's probably a bit weak in terms of mechanics. I think I don't really think, you know, they've really thought about how easy that's going to be on launch, because it's basically the same Dragon, just a little bit harder. And I'm like, maybe that's their intention. Like maybe they want Dragon to be the early, so like the beginner hard mode dungeon, which is obviously the beginner normal dungeon. But yeah, I think like for me, the hard mode dungeons are new challenges for players who, like myself, farm dungeons on 1 minute farms. It gives you a reason to make some new champions for accounts like mine, which have got like 200 rank 6s. It gives you a reason. It gives you the same rewards or better rewards for the same energy. So it's not really adding to the problem that a lot of players are talking about. It's like, well, where am I going to find my energy from? It's still there. Although I would imagine it's probably not going to give, it's probably not going to be more tournament point and event point efficient because of the energy cost, right? We know that stage 20, for example, is the best tournament and event point still, even to this day. So I think that's still going to happen, right? Because it's the energy cost, unless the energy cost is like 2 less, or they really, really massively give a lot of dungeon divers and tournament points to mythical gear. I think it's still going to be too low because you still got a chance to get rare in there. So, you know, all you're doing is you're adding a chance to get mythical and taking it out of the rare pool, but you still could get rare. So I think that's going to be, you know, if they continue to drive event and tournament points up higher, that could be a problem, specifically event points.
I
think it's only dungeon divers that are really nasty at the moment. I think tournament points are still about the same as they've always been, so I don't think that's a problem. It's the dungeon divers that I think a lot of people are concerned with. So yeah, I think the what's next video, there's a lot to be excited for. I mean, the quality of life changes for mobile players are huge, even for non-mobile players. Being able to find gear based on stat priority or primary stats or different. Like right now, trying to find gear in your account is so hard in game. To the extent that I use the optimizer to do it. And I know that a lot of people use RSL Helper for auto selling. Well, if you've got a lot of multi-battles, which they seem to be giving a lot more available these days, you don't need to have RSL Helper open 24/7, which is no shame or hate on RSL Helper, but it is a program that is running on your PC alongside the main program. So, you know, you don't always want to have it running open. Especially when it goes down, right? Which they like doing patches during clan versus clan, even though they cancel clan versus clan for some apparent reason we don't really know. You know, because it's now we're recording this Wednesday. We're recording this on Wednesday, and we still haven't seen a hard mode dungeon. So I don't really understand why we cancel clan versus clan.
But I just wonder if they're going to come in time for the next clan versus clan.
Yeah, so I mean, it's weird, right? So we obviously made the assumption that if they're canceling Clan versus Clan, that must mean hard mode dungeons are coming, because why would you cancel a revenue generator, especially a personal Clan versus Clan, right? Everyone was prepping, they had books ready, they had energy ready to burn, they had gems ready to burn, and now players are sitting there going, "Well, I can't do that. I got to wait 3 more weeks." So if players are waiting 3 more weeks, it means they're less likely to spend money on CVC because they're going to have more available resources to get to the threshold of points that they require.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like the only reason why you would cancel Clan versus Clan is if you were planning on releasing something that would impact Clan versus Clan. And all they've done so far is a minor technical update. And I'll be honest, they've done bigger updates during Clan versus Clan. So
true.
So that's not like that's a thing you can say, oh well, they were planning that preparation update. So to me, I was sitting there thinking, well, it must be hard mode dungeons are coming, because those would directly impact the amount of points you earn in Clan versus Clan. But we haven't seen it yet. So if we don't see it by, in I suppose a couple of hours from this recording, like a lot of players are going to be going, well, why did you cancel our Clan versus Clan? Because again, players are waiting for that personal tournament so they can use their books. So now they can't use their books, they're going to wait, and that's going to frustrate players even further. And it's going to, like, if they're not getting something for that cancellation, you're kind of just like winding the community up and putting them in a bad mood. So it means any little thing you do is going to be twice as big as it needs to be. So, but yeah, I'm with you. I think the What's Next video, I was surprised by how many negative comments I saw about it. It was very shocking. Like,
yeah,
it's probably just the mood of the community, but there's loads of cool stuff in there, loads of good things.
No, I'm really excited for a lot of the updates that are coming, and I think whether people are willing to accept it or not, I think this is what Raid needs. It's something different, and it's something to shake things up. I also think, as well as that, is an opener for a whole lot of content. I'm going to be watching live streams of people playing live arena and things like that, and I just think that this is something new to keep the community engaged, and I honestly think that they've done the right thing in moving in this direction, because it's what the game needs right now.
Yeah, but I would say with that live arena, obviously they need to go back a little bit on some of the blessings rebalances that they did, because that blessing rebalance didn't help arena whatsoever.
Yeah, it was a bit weird.
It's like, we're going to pick on the good stuff and we're going to make the terrible stuff slightly less terrible. And then we're going to come and try and defend ourselves in a Raid digest, even though we didn't actually paint ourselves in much glory, right? Because we came out and we were like, well, polymorph isn't as strong because it's only 20% at rank 6 and 5% at rank 1. And hey, if you don't, there's ways to counter it. Just don't bring debuffs. I'm like, doesn't like 70 or 80% of every champion in the game have a debuff of some sort? How can you not bring debuffs to the arena? That was just a bit of a thing. Because the thing is, then they're in the next sentence in that Raid digest, they're going, wow, HB burn and incinerate and those blessings, we can't put them in sort of PvE because it'd be way too strong, which is fair, it's true. But in the previous paragraph, you said don't bring debuffs. So why would I bring an arena only debuff that you've told me not to bring debuffs, because everyone is using polymorph?
Yeah.
So I don't really get it. I understand. If I'm being cynical, I would say they probably looked at the statistics and they were like, Brimstone and Phantom Touch is being used a lot more than anyone else, so we're just going to nerf it.
Yeah, rather than looking at where it was being used.
Yeah. Because they have said to me directly in a tweet that polymorph is not even top 3 in high-end arena. I'm like,
well, that's wrong.
I physically can't understand how we've reached that conclusion, because when you look at Platinum Arena, like 50 to 40%, or I think it's about 30 to 40% of all blessings are polymorph.
Yeah.
And I think what they didn't clock in that Raid digest, and I think a lot of players probably won't have clocked it either when they've read the Raid digest, especially if you're not into the mechanics of the game, is sure, it's only 5%. But it's 5% per attempt. So it's 5% per attempt to steal a buff, 5% per attempt to remove a buff, 5% per attempt to place a debuff, and it's on every single target. So it's like, well, if Madame Cerise tries to basically remove 5 buffs and place 2 debuffs, then that 5% isn't 5%. It's quite a lot more. That 20% isn't 20%. It's quite a lot more. It's almost guaranteed, which is why you don't see Madame Cerise, Ramantu, and those types of champions in the arena anymore. The only reason why you see Mighty Uko is because of his passive and the way that players use him. They use him in kind of like a neck rep protected fast provoke set, which is quite frustrating to fight against. Or they use it to try and steal some of the neck rep buffs. But it's not because he's predominantly a buff remover or a debuff placer, because Polymorph is too dominant.
Yeah.
So that is my concern about Live Arena. Obviously, there is, if they don't fix the underlying problems with Arena, you're going to create a bit of a problem for yourself, because effectively, like, you've got a Baron phase. So if I pick a Baron and I don't pick another DPS, I'm just going to lose my Baron. So
yeah.
I have to pick another DPS, right? So, and if all they do is just pick lots of Polymorph and I can't do enough damage because my main DPS is removed, you see what I mean? I can't pick another Baron.
But that's where it's going to get fun.
Yes,
and that's when mind games are going to come in.
If they
it's going to be problematic. Yeah, but it's it's going to be how people work with what they've got, and I think that's going to be a very interesting development. Because it's going to be a completely different meta to standard Arena right now.
The only thing I would say the meta is going to change is obviously the stall teams cannot work, right? Because obviously if you don't have a win condition, then you lose, because you can't, like, 30 minutes unless you're playing someone who's not willing to sit there for 30 minutes, you can't win. So you have to have a win condition of some sort. The problem is Taras is such a strong win condition. Harima is so you're bringing now champions that can effectively negate the enemy's win condition by being tanky, and also make your own win condition. Like, this is the problem with Polymorph.
But you've got that ban button.
Yeah, but it's not as simple as it sounds, right? So here's an example. The reason why champions like Turvold, all of a sudden people are saying, why don't you use Turvold in Arena? And everyone's like, that's crazy. Well, in a meta where you can't remove buffs, a champion that does loads of damage based on buffs is pretty good going, right? So Turvold makes sense all of a sudden, because you protect him behind Necret, you just buff up with like Mithrala and Duchess, and then he's got like 12 buffs and he just goes on one-shot someone. That's what people have been using, especially if you bring something like a Soul Root to help him out or something like that. It also doesn't have block revive, which is a bit awkward, but that's kind of the concept. Now, you could just go in there and go, okay, they're picking Taras. What happens if they have Harima as well? Who do you ban?
Well, I mean, that'll come down to the selection. That's the thing.
So there is strategies you can have there, right? Don't get me wrong. Like I'm saying, you could like look at it and go, well, instead of banning their win condition, I ban the things that make it so that their win conditions can work.
Yeah.
Maybe I ban the Necret. Maybe I ban the things. Now, the other problem, which is in high-end Arena, is you cannot pick a champion that the enemy has picked. So if someone picks Necret, you can't pick Necret.
Well, that's actually something that I was going to question. It is both teams. You can't have the same champion.
You can't have the same champion in the same battle at high-end Arena. We're talking gold.
Right. Okay.
That's what I looked at the video when I was looking at it. In bronze and silver, there is no team rules. So you can pick whatever you want. I think you can even pick the same champion, the same team.
Okay.
But in gold, you cannot pick the same champion in a battle.
Well, that's good.
So if an enemy picks Cupidus, you can't pick Cupidus. But what you could do is you could pick Venus. So they can't pick Venus. It makes more level of strategy, right? If they pick Cupidus, you can pick Venus. If they pick Venus, you can pick Cupidus. If they pick Necret, you can't pick Necret.
I need to rewatch it again, because that's how Summoner's War do it.
Yeah,
I
unique
thought
champions.
From watching the video, it was there couldn't be duplicates on your team.
Yeah. So what was confusing was they were showing gameplay footage next to picking footage. But if you look at the video, there's a moment in the video in which the enemy has picked Tomb Lord, and it shows a cross of Tomb Lord on the pick when you're trying to pick Tomb Lord.
Perfect.
So yeah, that's only a goal.
That's how it should be. That's how it should be, in my opinion.
So it adds more layers of strategy, right? Because obviously if I pick Harima and they pick Necret, and then I pick Taras and they pick Sif, like you're diluting the OP-ness. The problem with Platinum right now is basically slot in your Necret, Harima / Taras with a couple of revivers and job done. This is why diversity of champions is so important. These are the kind of the issues we had with Hydra, right? There was only like one Veil champion. So unless you had the one Veil champion, that strategy wasn't viable for you. So they've done a very good job over the last 6 to 12 months of adding more diversity of the different champions that can do different things. Like we've got now Pythian, Duchess, and Uko, who are all S-tier revivers. That's alongside more single target revivers like Alva and Sify. So there's more flexibility now in terms of picking champions, which would be important, right? Because if the best champion in the game by far is someone like Harima, and there was no way to beat Harima, then whoever gets to pick first wins, which will be a bad experience. So it's, I can beat Harima with Baron. I can beat Taras with Romantu. But if I lose Romantu, someone might come in and go, I'm going to ban his Romantu. Then that I have to think strategically. So I think this is why when we were first talking about it offline, I was like, they have to have a proper pick and ban phase. Because if all it's going to be is like classic arena re-rolled into live, it would be awful. Because the current classic arena, it's not going to make any difference. It's just going to be, you're going to be sat there for 15 minutes watching the Ultimate Death Knights, 2-turn stones can take forever to come off.
Yeah.
Because that's what it is at the moment in sort of high-end tag team and classic arena. It's like, how long until the Ultimate Death Knight can actually take a turn so I can do something because he's got stone skin. So the pick and ban phase is the most essential part. And I think a lot of players who are not used to high-end competitive gameplay like this probably don't realize how valuable and how essential pick and ban is. Yeah. If you like casually watch something like League of Legends, like you're probably not putting much thought into the drafting phase, but the drafting phase is the most defining aspect of the game. What you choose to go into the fight is more important than what you do in the battle 9 times out of 10. Because if you just draft losing lanes, you're going to lose the game.
Yeah.
Unless you can somehow take the pressure and then convert that into sort of advantages elsewhere on the map. So, or the enemy just kind of fluffs their lines. But, there's a lot of, when you watch them in the drafting phase, there's a lot of mind games going on in terms of like, well, do we pick these in this position? Are there champions that we have to just first pick because they're available? Are there, if we get through the certain pick phase and then we can ban out specific roles, the pick and ban phase was the most important aspect of live arena. And I don't think players will realize how important it is until they play it.
Yeah, sure.
The question will be how, as I said, for me, the more concerning parts of it is the reward structures, the reward incentives. They talked about new artifacts. So, like, what are those new artifacts? Yeah. It looks like there's not a weekly win like chest either. It looks like it's every X amount of wins. So
yeah. Oh, okay.
So I think it's every 35 wins you get a chest.
Yeah. Oh, that would be cool.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully by the time the next podcast comes out, we'll have a little bit more information on it. We may even have it.
Wow, I don't know. I mean,
it did say later like it's in the year,
a couple of patches away, right?
Yeah.
Which is actually, when you think about it, they're already behind schedule because they did say we'd be having live arena or we'd be having some form of arena before the end of Q1, and I'm like, well, it's Q1. Mm-hmm. So at least we know it's coming, but it's not live, right? So I think we're already a little bit behind schedule on that, but it's fine as long as it comes good. I think it can take as long as it wants, as long as it comes good. But we do need it. We have needed arena changes or some sort of competitive PvP changes for a while because
absolutely
the meme has been getting way too powerful.
Yeah, and it does interest me a little bit as to where these windows are that they're putting in that you can actually play it because it's only going to be able
in the video.
It's
like 7 hours. I'm like, well,
yeah.
I'll be honest. I don't know how you can have 7 hours over like in 4 windows over a day.
Yeah.
Now that could just be development because obviously they're on the dev server. But it's very much like a Diablo Immortal style, right? Because that's what Diablo Immortal did.
Absolutely, yes. And
so
that worked out
windows.
Okay. That wasn't bad at all.
Well, the idea is it's meant to basically go, okay, this is your window for PvP, and then when that's not active, that's when you can go do other stuff.
Yeah.
So what it's meant to do is stop the situation of going, I'm in the mood now to play some PvP, and then nobody else is to kind of like force players into, this is my dedicated PvP hour. So hopefully it reduces like the matchmaking wait times.
It'll test the popularity of it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously I think there's 5 battles a day you get unless you can refresh it. So it's not like you can, it's not like normal classic arena where you can like to do 15 or 20 of them, maybe 30 of them. You can basically do 5 and then peace out if you want to do it that way. And it will be incentivized. The only thing, the final thing I would add here is once again, we've got PvP reward in PvE. Not PvP reward in PvP. So
which we're not massive fans of.
No, not really. I mean, it's not that PvP can't reward PvE. It's the fact that PvP shouldn't like
be a requirement.
Exclusively be rewarding PvE. Like nothing you get out of Classic Arena helps you win Classic Arena. You know, because Swift Parry is not even a center. Like Hydra is PvE content that rewards you with PvP content.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how that's going to work, but I'm kind of glad that they didn't put an arena area bonus, because plus 20 speed in arena is already toxic. Like, can't imagine how bad that would be. So
yeah,
but I think, I think the direction Raid is going with what's next, the news that's coming out, if they could just work on their communication strategy a little bit, so that it's not just like, we will do what we want whether you like it or not, and we're going to deliberately try to target you to like be antagonistic, that'll go a bit of a way to try and help mitigate this negativity that we're seeing right now. I don't think Raid is dying. I saw Chosen do a video the other day talking about is Raid dying, but I think he was specifically looking at Twitch data, and Twitch data is not a good.
Well, one of the problems that you've got with that is that a good 70% of Twitch's audience is Hellhades.
Yes.
And Hellhades has moved over to YouTube.
Yes.
So yes, if you look at Twitch, but if you look at Twitch graphs, it's going to look like the numbers are down because Hellhades is not there. It's as simple as that.
But even that, there was other creators like YST has been streaming on YouTube more often now.
Yeah.
You've also got like Deadwood is looking at it. I've been streaming on YouTube a lot more. Now, granted, I never had a Twitch presence.
Even Chosen himself said that he's been streaming
on it. I think he's been doing dual streams or something of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that the YouTube community is more applicable, more appropriate, and more relevant for the game.
Yeah.
I think Twitch is in this very weird phase at the moment where it's trying to determine, is it actually a gaming platform, or is it a, let's chatting platform, right? It's in a weird place. You've got a core aspect of Twitch which still remains to be like your co-carnages, your true diehard gamers that basically game 24/7 on there. And then you've got quite a large proportion which are let's chatting, basically reaction streamers, and then you've got like another subset which is your, kind of silly drama hot tub things that are moving all over to kick.com. So you kind of like, it's the whole content creation sphere at the moment is in a very unusually weird place where nobody really knows where everyone's going. It's a bit like nobody blink, nobody move, otherwise everything is going to change. So,
yeah.
And I think YouTube is becoming a more preferable place for a lot of the OG streamers, because effectively it's less work for the same amount of effort, but allows them to then put that hours into stuff that they're more passionate about. Ludwig's talked about the fact that he wants to work more on his mogul moves. We can't under Twitch, because Twitch, you need to be live more. He doesn't need to on YouTube. And that's why you're seeing like the more, I would say, like our generation of streamers starting to move over and away from 24/7 streaming, just because it offers them a better quality of life.
Yeah.
So, that means then that Twitch becomes more, designed for younger audiences. Which is
the audience that they actually struggle to sort of retain.
Because like we went to TwitchCon, it was like Minecraft Central.
Yeah. Well, the problem is their terms of service has progressed past that mentality. Yeah. When I was younger, and sort of like back 2012, I guess, I started watching Twitch. Back then, Twitch was kind of a law unto itself, and everyone in that sort of age bracket and mind frame and things like that were very young. There was very stupid stuff on Twitch.
Yeah.
Everyone's
figuring out what they were doing, really.
Yeah. Problem is that eventually got Twitch in a lot of trouble, and now their TOS has progressed past that. And that's why you've got websites like kick.com popping up where they're saying, oh, well, we're only going to ban you for a day if you break the TOS, which effectively gives you free reign to have that attitude back then. But there was a reason that Twitch moved away from that, and that was because Twitch had a toxic mentality. You had people like Ice Poseidon and people like that who were effectively getting swatted on aeroplanes. We had racist comments constantly in Twitch chats. Whether people want to accept it or not, Twitch is in a better place now than it was. Yeah. Yes, you don't have as much freedom to express everything, but actually on the internet, people shouldn't necessarily be able to express every single thought that they have in their mind.
Arguably, Twitch still has a lot of work to do, though, because I've seen some streams and I'm like, how is this even allowed? Like, what are they doing? Like, there is flaunting of the rules. And I think, Twitch wants to go towards more advertising, wants to go towards more what YouTube's model is. That is not going to work if you're putting, derogatory content, adult content, inappropriate
advertisers
content,
are just going to avoid it.
They're not going to pay Twitch, and if Twitch aren't going to get paid, then as much as people want to sit there and say, oh well, Twitch should give everything to its creators, it's like, yeah, but the creators get an awful lot back from Twitch because they can stream on a platform for free, using all those tools. It's not like they're paying into something here. It's not like they're paying Twitch to do, like, Twitch are giving them a free service. So I think there's, you got to balance it. But I do think, like, because Chosen didn't really cover any YouTube data, like, that video was not quite accurate.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think
also the thing is, as well as that, when you look
YouTube,
when you look at any kind of traction that Raid's getting, what you need to take into account is also the marketing that they're doing, because that's what provides those peaks. And we're just coming to the end of a marketing session with Ronda. Okay, so all of those new players that have been plowed in through Ronda, there will be obviously a drop off from it. Okay, so you'll have your spike where the advertising came in and it drops off, and then they'll work on the next one. They're not stupid, and they're not going to let their game just die.
Got, like, the number one RPG game for the last 4 years that continues to make a profit year on year and has made an Aristocrat and Playroom very, very profitable. I mean, they are trying to push, I think, more profit, which we can see, right? They're pushing more towards, like, pulling more shards and more events and more of these, and trying to push you to spend more resources. So they are pushing to try and get more profit. So they're probably just in a bit of a can we make more money phase. But I think, Raid is not going to die anytime soon. No. Like, even like games like Awakened Chaos Era, which apparently died like a year ago, is still going on.
Yeah, it's not dying.
These things don't just die. Like Diablo Immortal, for example. Like, I've not heard anything about it, but it's still going. It's still going very strong. Money.
Yeah.
So, I think there's a balance, of course. Like, Raid needs to start listening a little bit more so that they get their community. I think the biggest thing is their communication.
Yeah.
It may seem like Raid is dying because they basically are, or a lot of people are making the assumption that all they're doing is, like, trying to rinse the money before it all dries up, which I think is not a correct assumption, but I can see it because their communication strategy is very, like, middle finger to the community, and also, like, to the way that they treat creators. I think I was talking to a couple of people the other day, and it's probably about time that they did a bit of a cleanup of the creators in terms of, have they got all the creators that are actually active in that program? Are they communicating correctly with those creators? Because I'd imagine creators are getting absolutely slaughtered by the community right now, and they're not getting any support from Playroom, I would have thought, because generally, we're waking up to find out that there's summoning events all week. Like, True. Why aren't the creators being told about this in advance? Yeah. It's stuff that, one, benefits them, Playroom, because it gets people ready, and two, it helps the creators feel positive and push positive vibes out to the community, which then hopefully gets more players back into the game. Well, if you're not going to tell the creators can't do videos until it's too late, and then players are going to go like, oh, well, it's too late now, I can't be bothered, right? So it's not relevant. So yeah, they probably, like, overdue a bit of our creators still, like, is the program still relevant? Potentially. I mean, I know I'm never going to get in the program because I'm a bad boy or whatever. But hey,
you're in their bad book.
Me asking to get in there. This is me just going that I would imagine there's a fair number of creators that were creators like 3 or 4 years ago that are still in the program, that are still there, that are still, probably they might do a video every so often, but they're not doing the volumes of videos like, creators like Hellhades, YST, Deadwood Jedi, and those are doing, who are probably, yes, they're in the creator program, but probably being treated on the same level as people who are not doing videos that regularly. So,
yeah.
But yeah, I don't think Raid is dying. That's the TLDR of that little segment. I know that some people are worried or think it is, or have listened to some of the content. It's not dying. It's still generating loads of money. There's just peaks and troughs in mobile gaming. And I think a lot of the Twitch audience that was there, they've moved to YouTube. Because you've got to remember, a lot of the players that started playing the game 3 to 4 years ago, they were playing it during Twitch, during the COVID pandemic.
Yeah.
Well, they don't really have time to sit on a Twitch stream anymore because they're working again, and they have families and stuff. They may have got into relationships. They may have had kids. Like, things adapt. And I think YouTube is a more appropriate model for them because they can go watch the VOD whenever they want.
Exactly.
It's not, doesn't have to be when you're live.
I think that could actually be a subject in itself for an entire podcast. But yeah, so I think we'll wrap it up there, guys. If you have made it this far, thank you so much. Make sure you like, subscribe, all that good stuff. As I said, these podcasts will be going out maybe 1 to 2 per month from now on. So we're recording this on the first day of March.
Wow.
So we're already 3 months into the year. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you again very, very soon.